Welcome to Off Grid from the Ground Up. It's here. We're finally at the point where we can start putting in our foundation for the house. Please check out our previous videos for more about all of the effort it took to clear the house site. These pictures are showing the highlights, but it was a process, and we're really happy that we're finally at the point where we can start doing what feels like real work to get us living on this beautiful piece of property. We are doing as much of the work on all of this as much as we can ourselves. And we also are smart enough to know when perhaps we are in over our heads. So one of my former students from when I was a classroom teacher, Fathers is a really great contractor, and he's been willing to help us out with the parts that we need professional advice on, and labor and coordination assistance and all of that wonderful stuff. So he helped us set up the layout and mark the foundation points. We're doing a post and pier foundation, which is legally allowed under what's called a Class K builder's permit in California, depending on your county. Fun fact, my mom helped write that legislation back in the 70s, and I hope to be able to tell you more about that in a future video. Here is Clara helping Daddy drill the very first hole for the post and pier foundation. These holes wound up being 7 feet deep, at least wherever we could, which was most places in the layout. There were a couple of shallow spots, and we used an 18-inch bit on an auger attachment for the skid steer, and moved a whole lot of dirt out of these holes. The concrete in our piers is reinforced with rebar. We ordered rebar cages from a local steel mill, and the property actually had a whole bunch of rebar scrap left on it when we bought it. So we wound up putting some extensions on those cages with the existing rebar that we had. And then it was finally time for us to put these rebar cages in place. So William ran the equipment and I guided the cages into the holes. You can see our sidekick there in the background by the Excavator. She's our constant companion, and I just can't believe what a trooper she is. So this is the foundation layout with the holes drilled, the rebar cages set, and some of the piers have already been poured and set. When we were drilling these holes, we had one problem child where we could not get the auger to go straight down. So we skipped it for the time being and decided to come back to it at a later time. And now is that later time. So now we use the other piers that have been poured as a reference point to lay out string to find the center point for this hole. That's what that wooden stake is. William is clearing the runway, so to speak, so he has a little room to maneuver. And then we will dig out this hole with the excavator. We think there's either a root or some rock or something obstructing path straight down. So operating off of some advice that we got from a professional, which is always appreciated, we are going to dig it out with the excavator, and then we bought one sonotube that we're going to use as a form the whole way down. at least until we get to the point where we can put a wooden square form on top, because it'll just make the lines easier. And then we will set a cage down inside for the concrete, and we should be good to go. But we're pretty happy with the fact that out of 30 holes, we only wound up with one problem child. So that's positive. That's what we're doing today. And here we go, the last hole. A little dry up here. Part of the reason we had a problem is because it's so dry right there. When we were trying to drill down with the auger, it was hitting an obstacle, either a rock or a root like I mentioned, and it was just walking all over the place. So this is quite a bit more heavy duty, it has a little more stability, it's a little bit more of a brute, so not as exact. Oh look, there's a root right there. But it'll get the job done. And the sonotube will allow us to place it exactly where we want. Clara found an alternative use for the sonotube. It makes a pretty excellent tunnel. If you like seeing these videos, we invite you to subscribe, like, and share. All right. We now have a hole deep enough for our rebar cages. So, the last hole has been dealt with. Hurrah!